Here we go!
Welcome to the Nintendo Power Zone. We are a videocast/podcast dedicated to bringing you the best Nintendo-related topics. I'm your host, Nice1983, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Blues and Jada Winsong. What's going on today, fellas?
What's cracking, man?
Yeah, I'm excited for this first episode of this month. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, this new bi-weekly format, man. We're doing way more episodes, it seems like. But on today's show, we're going to talk about all things Pokemon, starting with the newest and most likely last Pokemon game on the Nintendo 3DS, Detective Pikachu. From there, we're going to go ahead and put our speculation hats on, and we're going to talk about what we think about the next mainline Pokemon game for the Nintendo Switch. So grab a cup of your favorite coffee, get your magnifying glass as we unravel the mysteries of these Pokemon games. But first, let's start with the 8-bit news. So our first story was a little bit odd, but I think it's one that I'm excited about it. So Monopoly Gamer announced that they're coming out with a Mario Kart Edition last Wednesday, and they released it that same day exclusively to GameStop. So if you guys don't know, Monopoly Gamer is a game-themed version of the ever-popular Monopoly that features Mario. All the pieces are reflective of Mario characters, so you have in your first set, you have Mario, Peach, Yoshi, and Donkey Kong. You can buy additional little character pieces as well, including Bowser. What's interesting about this version of Monopoly is that it actually includes boss fights. I have no idea what changes they have made for the Mario Kart edition, but I did hear that some of the cards that are playable are item themed, and you can actively mess with people by hitting them with an item and sending them directly to jail. I actually think this is a cool extension of the Monopoly Gamer brand. I've seen it already. It's exclusive to GameStop, though, and I do not want to pay the GameStop price for it. I'm certain you can find it cheaper at Target and Walmart when they start to trickle them out to those locations. But I thought this was cool. It's a really nice extension, and it's just more of Nintendo just taking their licenses and putting them in scenarios that we're not used to seeing them in. I think the closest you can come to a Monopoly Mario game is that Fortune Street game for the Wii, which was made by Square Enix. But yeah, I have the original game here. I'm planning on doing an unboxing, but only after I get the Mario Kart edition. But I'm excited about this, and I'm definitely going to be picking up a copy. Guys, any thoughts on Monopoly Gamer Mario Kart edition?
So you mentioned that the closest thing we have is Fortune Street, and Fortune Street's something I want to talk about after this point. But we have Mario Monopoly, and we have Mario Gamer, or Gamer Monopoly. So they're both Mario Monopolies, but one's gonna get expansions and has slightly different rules for the boss fights, like you've said. We do have a Super Mario Monopoly already, as well as you have two newer Pokemon Monopolies from Gen 1 and Gen 2. As well as the original Pokemon Monopolies that were previously there. This isn't the first time we've seen Mario in board games, I believe, either. Or even Nintendo franchises or video games in general. But I am happy to see more video game-based board games out. I feel like Monopoly is just the one you just throw the skin over, though. I'm kind of sick of buying more Monopoly. I kind of want to see more unique stuff in terms of board games that have video game themes. But also, I wouldn't be opposed to seeing Fortune Street. Like, if they could somehow make that work in a board game format, I would love it. You know, I was thinking about Fortune Street like a couple days ago for some reason. I don't even remember why. It definitely wasn't because of Monopoly. But I'm like, I would be down for a Fortune Street on the Switch. And yeah, simple as that.
I'm looking more forward to Fortune Street on the Switch than any new Mario Party game at this point. I do like the caveat about the boss fights in the Monopoly Gamer Edition. I think that really helps it stand outside of the traditional Monopoly. And like you said, I am also tired of buying Monopoly skin after Monopoly skin. I mean, going back from like 1994 up to now, I think I've owned at least 10 different iterations of Monopoly in its standard form, just with different pieces.
Mm-hmm. No, I feel you there. I do have to say, I'm always a sucker for Zelda things, so the Zelda ones are the ones I always throw down money, even though I know I shouldn't be. Mm-hmm. But if Mario Kart is really, if the Mario Kart edition is really doing things that change up the gameplay, I think that's something to look into. Mm-hmm. because normal Mario Kart is rage-inducing as it is, so or not Mario Kart, normal Monopoly is rage-inducing and friendship ending as it is. So if you can throw the friendship ending and rage-inducing things of Mario Kart into it, that's like double the pain, double the pleasure. Yeah, something like that.
Well, with them, reaching out into Mario Kart, it makes me wonder: are we going to get other, franchises? Like, am I going to be able to play a Splatoon Monopoly Gamer Edition or a
Smash Brothers?
As you were saying, Smash Brothers, or even Legend of Zelda. Man,
yeah. We have Legend of Zelda Monopoly as well. It's just not Monop Gamer Edition. Yeah.
If we saw the Gamer version and it doesn't look like Breath of the Wild, oh man, Hasbro, you messed up.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, one thing that I'm kind of upset about, and I feel it should have been done here, is that Monopoly Gamer and Monopoly Mario Kart Gamer are their own monopolies. I think it should have been done, and I thought the direction they were going to go with it is have, Monopoly Gamer, have the little extra characters you can buy in the expansions, have Mario Kart as an expansion rather than its own single game, so you can combine them with the new pieces, the new item cards, as well as keep the boss fights going. I think it should have been like an expansion more so than a whole other Monopoly. See, at that point, it's harder to combine them. You aren't able to combine them as easily as I feel. I would like to combine them.
Ultimately, you have to probably grasp that this is just Hasbro finding a new way to package the same thing with a new skin. Right. That's what they do best with this franchise. They've been doing it since Monopoly started.
Yeah.
I do like the character pieces, but I will say one thing, and it bothers me. When I buy like a Pokemon Monopoly or a Zelda Monopoly, the pieces that come with those games, that pewter feels real nice.
These are plastic, right?
Yeah, they're plastic.
Yeah,
and
that's disappointing.
They don't sport the best paint jobs either. I mean, I understand these pieces are small, they're hard to paint that finite, but you don't have to paint them. You have proven that you don't have to paint them unless you're specifically trying to target, kids, 5 through 8 with these editions of Monopoly. Anyway, I just thought this was a little cool piece of news.
Agreed. Nifty.
All right. So next up, we have the best Nintendo-related April Fool's joke. So as you guys know, this past Sunday was
April Fool's and Easter.
And Easter, yeah. It was this weird cross between
Easter Fools,
non-like holidays.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Easter Fool's Day. But anyway, there were some great April Fool's Day pranks associated with video games. I think my personal favorite one was Team Rocket taking over the official Pokemon Twitter account, and that lasted pretty much the whole day. And throughout the course of the day, they took over the Twitter account, captured Pikachu, and got blasted off. It was pretty great, actually. And I guess they got the voice actors to reprise their roles and just record like these small little segments specifically for Twitter, and I thought that was great. One of my favorite April Fool's Day jokes, period. And to get in on that, Pokemon Go also hit us up with their April Fool's Day joke, which was the 8-bit sprites in the Pokedex and on the Poke Radar in Pokemon Go. I thought that was one of the best things Pokemon Go has ever done, and when they change it back, I'm going to be really upset, actually, because
I did not know that was a April Fool's joke. Actually, I was just going about my normal Pokemon Go business in life. Like, hey, we updated some stuff, so they have like new achievements from the professor, and we got these cool new high-res sprites for you. I'm like, oh, okay, awesome, I like these. The fact that's an April Fool's joke is actually really upsetting to me right now. I agree.
I would actually pay money for them to keep that permanent.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, I think that's a common case with just Pokemon Go in general. They always seem to take one step forward, 2 steps back, and put their foot in their mouths.
Okay, but the professor's achievements are also a good feature. I really like that feature.
Yeah.
I do too, but I'm at this point where, like, I have to actively look for a Ditto to catch Mew, and I haven't actively looked for a Ditto in, like, a year, so I'm not too happy about it. But what I did like about this 8-bit sprite thing is that it actually goes back to that original trailer when people were hunting in the original trailer, they showed off 8-bit character sprites
in the trading
avatar.
section.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, when it wasn't like that, I was a little disappointed. And so this was like them saying, hey, you remember this from the trailer? We're going to do that, but only for a week or so. And I'm like, don't do it. Don't take it away because I love this.
Yeah, I feel like if you have a switch in the options to turn it on and off, actually, that'd be a good idea.
Yeah, just a skin.
The problem is it's a good idea, and I don't know if they do that. It's too good of an idea.
And the last major Nintendo one that I can think of was the Kirby 25th anniversary or 30th anniversary page became the Waddle Dee's 25th anniversary page,
yeah,
which was great. I was like, wow, that's awesome.
Waddle Dee's so lovable. He's never a character that you really pay attention to.
Yeah.
Even now, he's like Bandana Waddle Dee's becoming a bigger character. He's still like, you're Waddle Dee. No one's gonna care about you.
Waddle Dee to me has always been kind of like the Kirby equivalent of Luigi. Like he's fake. He's like fake. He's fake Kirby in a weird way. You know how Luigi's not even great Mario. So I kind of feel like to me it's always been kind of the similar perception. You know.
But Luigi's actually able to do stuff. Waddle Dee's like in a lot of Kirby games don't even attack you, and if they do, it's very just to block your way.
Yeah. Hey. You know that's important too.
Yeah. Those of the Kirbyverse.
Yeah, they're not even really player 2 a lot of the time either. Luigi's usually player 2. Waddle Dee's mostly an enemy unless it's Bandana Dee, in which he's like player 4 because no one else want to be stuck with him.
Yeah, but these were some great April Fool's Day pranks. I don't know how the other companies got down, but you know, the Nintendo presence for April Fool's was actually like something that I gave them credit for. It's like, wow, Nintendo really stepping stuff up with, you know, just being overall active with their IP. So I thought that was cool.
And I mean, Google Maps, you should do something for April Fool's. I'm not sure what they did this year, but they did something for Mario Kart Day in Google Maps, where your little car was replaced with Mario Kart.
This year, Google Maps did a Where's Waldo?
Where's Waldo? Okay.
I was a little disappointed that they didn't tie themselves back in with Nintendo. But it is what it is. I mean, it wasn't bad. I mean, everybody loves Where's Waldo, especially if you're from my generation, where like that took over the schoolyards for long periods of time.
Definitely.
Oh yeah. I really wanted, when I was in high school, I really wanted to coordinate like the final like senior yearbook. So on each page, there's one guy dressed as Waldo on each page for the final yearbook. But I didn't get that done.
Oh man, that would have been a great senior prank, at least for like one picture. Oh man, but I just like this. This is like the new Nintendo that we're seeing here. When we see them do and embrace stuff like this, it shows that like there are different people in charge, and we're starting to see like the fruits of that labor, where they're like, hey, we've been wearing that chastity belt for a long time. Let's go ahead and unlock that thing. You know, just let a couple of things like, you know, out into the world. I know that sounds super dirty, but it is what it is.
What it is.
And for our last news story, Splatoon 2 has another crossover event. This time with JAMS Tech, and for those who don't know, that stands for the Japan Agency for Marine, Earth, Science, and Technology. So basically what they do is they do a lot of deep dive explorations. They study, you know, sea life. They study, you know, just life in general.
They're a team of biologists who do a lot of surveying of all land, sea, air. They have a lot of technology at their disposal.
Exactly. So they're basically, you know, trying to save the world through technology, and that's a really, really cool crossover for Splatoon. But it doesn't just end with like fancy artwork and whatnot. They're actually incorporating it into their next Splatfest, and the theme of that Splatfest is going to be, which side are you in love with? Living things that have yet to be discovered, or advanced technology? You know, which JAMS Tech is actively, you know, participating in both of those things.
Yes.
To go even further than that, they are actually including special gear in Salmon Run, and for the first time to my knowledge, this gear is, we in America are also getting access to this gear, and this gear is a special hard hat helmet, and it looks like the helmet that the real JAMS Tech employees wear, you know, when they do, you know,
surveying
all the awesome things they do.
Site, yeah.
This is the third real world crossover they've done. The first being McDonald's, the second being Nike, and now this time Jazz Tech for Splatoon 2. So really,
there were a couple of one as well.
Well, at least for the Splatoon 2. For Splatoon 1, we had like Autobots,
Decepticons, Patrick, SpongeBob, yeah.
But in terms of the Splatoon 2 ones, we didn't get Nike or McDonald's, right?
Those were Japan only, I believe.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, for our Splatfest, which is taking place this weekend, we have baseball versus soccer. Not that's a bad Splatfest, but man, when you're showing me Nike crossovers and exclusive Nike gear, that's like throwing salt in a freshly open.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you there.
I wanted to say I wasn't sure. I think you might have just confirmed it for me that the gear you can obtain, little helmet that's in Salmon Run, that is then available for us in the US.
It looks like it, from what I've read.
Okay, well that is very big then. That's something.
Yeah, we actually have it now. I've actually unlocked it already. So.
Okay, I'll have to do that really fast then.
Yeah,
it's a real easy unlock. It's capped at like 200 points for Salmon Run, so easy to get.
All right, yeah, I'll definitely be on that then. Awesome.
I'll do that.
But yeah, that's super cool. It is sort of a shame that we're not getting more of these crossovers in America. I agree. I feel like Jams Tech is one of the ones where it's like Americans wouldn't care as much because it's a Japanese-based company. It's Japan's what the J in Jams Tech stands for. I think the work that they're doing is great, but it's not something a lot of us here in the States or even the West in general would know about or understand. Nike and McDonald's, yeah, we know what those are, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, well, those are two uniquely American companies.
Yes, exactly. So, but then they got Japan-only Splatfest at the same time.
It's weird. I don't know what the licensing is for a game like Splatoon to obtain American licensing to do these kind of crossovers. But I honestly feel like if you jumped over at least one of those hurdles, how much harder could it be for NOA to at least attempt to do the same? It's a little off-putting at this point. Like I'm like, as much as I love Splatoon, I see these things that happen with the game in Japan, and I'm like, man, we're really being left out in the dark. And it's not just with these crossovers. Merchandising, the best merchandise for Splatoon is exclusive to Japan. Like even the vinyl version of the soundtrack. Yep. You can only buy at Tower Records, which we don't have Tower Records here anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't just that. That Tower Records deal got them a lot of exclusive gear as well. Clothing, mostly limited to Japan. The cell phone cases, limited to Japan. Hell, even the real-world Splatfest bracelets that the in-game characters wear was a Japanese exclusive thing sold at retail. It speaks to a larger issue with the way that Splatoon is promoted globally.
Yeah. And I also want to talk about just overall, Nintendo has a huge ability to advertise these crossovers for people. We look at Mario Kart 8 with the Mercedes-Benz DLC. We look at just Mario Maker in general with all the things that they got. Crossovers in Splatoon. And Smash Bros. As a franchise, if you get a character in Smash Bros., that's not a Nintendo character. You expect those sales to bolster. Like if Shantae or Shovel Knight got into Smash, people who are really hyped about it would buy those games. And so Nintendo has such a great ability to be advertising if they really wanted to with their games.
Well, yeah. And the thing that gets to me is that Kimishima himself has stated that he wants Splatoon to be as big as Mario. And the only way to do that is to treat Splatoon the same way that you treated Mario during Mario's rise, because there was a lot of different promotion going on in the 80s and 90s and how they would, essentially pimp a Mario game out. Those games got a lot of attention, and the character Mario was really penetrative into the culture. They started with small things like a crossover with Pepsi, having Mario on the can, doing things with Domino's. Hey, order Domino's pizza, and you could win a Super NES pack, and along with $1 million. They did stuff like that. They don't do stuff like that with Splatoon. I know that times are different.
Yeah, I think a lot of that has indicated. Oh, sorry about that. What was I saying?
And once again, that goes back to that global, like, Japan gets all the good stuff. If you want to make Splatoon as big as Mario, you got to go global with these kinds of promotions as well as bigger.
So yeah, that leads to the point I was going to say is that I think in the 90s, at least in America, it seemed to me. Now, I mean, I was a kid, so I can't talk from a specific business standpoint, but it seems to me that it was easier for businesses in general to do crossover events and partnerships, like temporary partnerships, than it is today. And in Japan, it doesn't seem to have gotten more difficult. That's the reason why they always have a bunch of crossover games or whatever. And it's interesting to me how complicated it seems to be here. I mean, I'm honestly amazed that we got both Project Cross Zones in on the 3DS localized, because that's a crap ton of different IPs.
Mm-hmm.
That
a licensing nightmare.
Yeah, it's a licensing nightmare in America for some crazy reason, and we just can't seem to do it anymore. So.
I mean, when I was at the National Video Game Museum, there was a T-shirt. I'm not sure if I got it on film, but there was a T-shirt that had Sonic the Hedgehog and the Keebler Elves together on the T-shirt for winning a contest.
Yeah,
you don't see that stuff, and I feel like stuff like that in terms of licensing shouldn't be that hard. Well, like, bring back the Pokemon mac and cheese, please. That's all I want in my life for Envy right now is the Pokemon Craft mac and cheese. Why is that gone?
Honestly, I mean, we're lucky if we get things like Mario cereal. And, and any type of Happy Meal. Any type of Happy Meals is like a long shot, and we don't see a lot of Mario Happy Meals, but
we get a lot of Pokemon Happy Meals.
We do, but if you look at Japan
they
gets a Mario Happy Meal almost annually.
Yeah,
agree.
True.
I don't know. I mean, I just feel like Splatoon is such a big game globally, for Nintendo.
But it's not being pushed that way.
They definitely need to step it up. I like these crossovers. You could do something like that here with the WWF, the World Wildlife Federation, or I stress to say SeaWorld because of the SeaWorld backlash, but you probably could get away with doing something at SeaWorld at least right before that Universal deal goes through. But by the time that Universal deal is done, you can't do anything anywhere else as far as park promotion. But
that makes sense.
A lot of opportunities. But these were really cool news stories for this month. I always love to talk about Splatoon because that I do love that game. It is one of my favorite games on the Switch, and it was my favorite game on the Wii U. As far as the April Fool's Day jokes, I just found those to be clever.
Team Rocket takes over the Twitter account. That is genius. It's nothing too crazy, but it's genius enough. It's super clever, super funny, and great to see. And as far as the Monopoly Gamer one, I honestly think that's the strangest story we have this month because it was announced and released in the same day. But it was exclusive to one retailer. GameStop, it's so weird.
One retailer I don't want to buy it from because they're going to jack up the price by $5.
Yeah.
All right, so that's going to get us through our 8-bit news. Guys, hit us up in the comments section, email us, let us know which news story you found to be the most interesting for this bi-weekly, for this fortnight. And not to be confused with the game Fortnite. But I want to slide into something I did just this past week. I guess it was a week ago. I went to this place in Orlando called Joysticks Arcade Lounge and Retro Bar. So it's a beercade for those who don't understand the concept of a beercade or barcade. It's literally a place where it's like half bar, half arcade. You go, you get drunk, you play a lot of retro video games. I went there with my fiance. We literally were bored at home. We're like, let's just go do something. We live in Florida. Like, there is so much to do here. Why don't we just go out? Quick hop on Google Maps, typed in, barcade, and found a bunch that I was previously unaware of. And I'm planning on doing a video series. The first episode is currently up called Pixelated Places. So I basically chronicled the evening that we spent at Joysticks Arcade Lounge, and it was a blast. First off, this place is themed to be a cross between like the mid to late 80s to the early 90s. Every drink on the menu that is a specialty drink is named after or representative of some type of film or a TV show. So the first drink we ordered happens to be the most expensive drink on the menu, and that was called a Hulk Smash. It's a $30 drink designed for 2 people to drink. It's like a cross between a margarita and a Long Island iced tea.
Oh,
and this thing it's massive and it smokes. You know, they drop a little bit of dry, they drop a little bit of dry ice in the drink, and it literally smokes. And as much alcohol as they put in it, I'm surprised at how good it tasted. No, this is the not suitable for work section of the podcast, or if you are under 18, you should not be listening. But anyhow.
So let me guess. This is where your story ends because you forget the rest of the night because you
actually,
drank.
no,
Just kidding.
Because Orlando is an hour drive from Tampa, I always, if I do drink in that city, I temper what I drink. I didn't drink though, but I was there long enough so that I wouldn't, be wasted on the way back. And we got there at midnight. We stayed there till close, which was around 2:15.
That's not bad.
Hung around downtown a little bit because it's in the club district, so walked around the downtown area, caught a couple Pokemon. But again, this place is really themed, so that was just one drink. They also have a drink that is designed to taste like Flintstone Push Pops. Do you guys remember Push Pops?
Oh my god, those are my favorite. The orange sherbet ones.
I remember.
Oh my god,
those are exactly like that. They have Ghostbusters themed drinks. They have it all. They even have show tune karaoke, guys.
Okay.
Wow,
where you can get up on stage. Huh? I didn't do any karaoke.
Dude,
we got there late. I mean, the karaoke ended at 1, and we got there at midnight.
Oh, that sucks.
So I wanted to film a little bit. I wanted to drink a little bit, and I wanted to just enjoy my time there. But my favorite thing, there were 2 things that really stood out to me in this barcade. The first one being that their top shelf liquor is placed on a Donkey Kong stage.
That's sick.
It even has like the oil barrels, the little fire, the Fry Guys, and Donkey Kong and Mario on the stage. Oddly, no Pauline, but it is what it is. It looked really good, and it's a really, really clever way to showcase their liquor shelf. And then the other thing that really caught my attention, the thing that I probably loved the most there, was the piranha plant in the center of the bar, a fully life-sized piranha plant that looks like a cross between a piranha plant and what is it called? The Little Shop of Horrors, Venus Flytrap.
Audrey 2.
Yes, Audrey 2. Yes, it was so clever. Like the way they crossed those 2 things over, and I'm like, wow. I fell in love with this place. I cannot wait to go back. And it was definitely, just going there made me think man, I could do a whole series on stuff like this. And I was like, you know what? I've taken enough footage and I've taken enough pictures here that I can compile it into a video. So that's up on YouTube right now, youtube.com/Nintendo Power Zone. You can watch the first episode of Pixelated Places, and you can take a look at this barcade for yourself, guys, because I promise you, it was a blast. And you can tell that I had a blast because I'm literally filming everything almost frantically. I'm taking a crap ton of pictures. I had a lot of drinks. But I think the one thing I neglected to point out, every game is free. Every game is free.
That's really different.
And they have it all. They got Donkey Kong, Fix It, Feel It Jr. from Wreck-It Ralph. They had Tron, the original Tron arcade game. They have air hockey. They have it all. They literally, they did this place right. I don't know if every place I go to is going to be able to stand up to a Joysticks Arcade Lounge, because this is one of the coolest places I've ever been to in my life, and I will be going back.
I actually have to ask as well. So for Pixelated Places, is it only going to be beercades, or would you go to other more retro-inspired places or arcades that you managed to find?
Actually, I have been looking at other, video game themed places, not just here, but in places that, I visit, because of, where family is. There's a video game museum that's around 45 minutes from where I currently live. It's the only museum in the state of Florida for video games but it's also the largest selection of pinball, in the state of Florida. So I am going to go there. I love pinball, and I just love video games in general, especially Nintendo. But I'm going to be going there. I'll go to a couple other beercades as well. I want to showcase, that America loves Nintendo, and I want to do that before the theme park can open, because I feel like the theme park opening,
everyone's going to say they love Nintendo.
Exactly, the theme park is going to take away from these places. These places provide like a smaller, more intimate, environment for you to enjoy. Yeah. And the theme park is going to be what a theme park is: crowded, grand, and busy. And these places offer this intimate experience that I just don't think the theme park will get you. Now, it won't be as authentic as the theme park, but it will have its own charm, and I want to highlight that before that park can open.
I think I might take your lead, and I might make, if I can find a place, Pixelated Places video as well. It won't be a beercade, just because, A, I'm not 21, B, I don't drink anyways, even if I was 21, so bars aren't my thing. So, but I'll take a look at what's around me. I'll definitely take a look.
Yeah, I've got a place around here that I could probably do. But it's funny. It's called AFK Gamer Lounge, and it's in San Jose, California. And you'd think there'd be more places around here like that, but when you find out, because California is crazy
the home where it started.
Yeah, you'd think there'd be more here, but specifically in San Jose, the rent's pretty crazy for businesses. So whatever ones that used to be out there probably are gone.
Well, yeah, and you have to think that they're going to be more located around where the tourism goes. Like the majority of the ones I found are in Orlando. Which, I live in Tampa, so it's an easy drive, but they're in places where the tourism is at its highest. Yeah. When I was looking, I have family in, North Carolina, Tennessee, and Georgia. I'm looking there, and they don't have them to the degree that they have them here in Florida. I'm like, wow. You would think this is a way to really engage like a niche market of people. And the thing with gamers is when they go to a place and they like it, like they stick by it, They really will, and you're almost guaranteeing their business. And as long as that business is sustainable, those places aren't going to go out of business. I found out that the Joysticks place has actually been there for 3 years now, and it's in the heart of downtown. And what's so crazy about it is their drinks are so good that people go there just for their drinks as a pit stop. That's how good their drinks are.
That's funny.
And they're surprised. Like I said, I did order the most expensive drink on the menu. But I was there, with my fiance. We were there to drink together, and we could handle a drink of that caliber.
So, just for reference, how much was that drink?
$30.
That's not bad.
$30 on one big drink. If you guys see it in the picture, in the video, it's a big drink, and it's designed for two people. I wasn't the only person at the bar that ordered it. It was actually a lot of people ordering that. And they have a couple of these shots that are great. My favorite shot was called Nerds, and it literally has nerds at the bottom of the shot.
That's awesome.
And it tastes...
There's a lot of candy here, I feel like.
Oh, man, dude. You don't have to worry about alcohol poisoning. You have to worry about diabetes in this place. I'm not kidding. I was more worried. I was like, man, I have a history of diabetes in my family. Y'all trying to give me a sugar overdose. But no, it was a great place, and I was there for 2.5 hours, essentially, and this is just me being bored at home when I say, I live in Florida, I need to do something. We went, and it was one of the best nights that we've had in a long time, and yeah, I definitely want to bring my friends and family there, too, because it's an experience that I want to share, because that's how fun and intimate this place is, and who doesn't want to get down with some show tune karaoke?
That's pretty cool.
But is it time to move on now? We got the detective himself, right?
Yes, let's move on. I have been playing a lot of Detective Pikachu on my second playthrough of it. And this is a game that utterly confused me going in. I remember the conversations that the Pokemon Company president had, saying that this game could potentially be bad for Pikachu's image overall, that's pretty jarring statement to come from the president of the Pokemon company, Kimishima. But the game got released in 2016 in Japan, and it was supposed to be an episodic content game similar to like the Walking Dead series or the other Telltale games. And they dropped episode 1 and 2 pretty much simultaneously, and then they never released another part. And here we are 2 years later, and they released a full packaged game with probably the greatest amiibo ever. And I mean that, greatest amiibo ever. And it's a cute game. If I want to talk about the story a little bit. It starts off a little bit darker than your typical Pokemon game, but not as grand. In Pokemon games, you end up saving the world somehow in the mainline games. In this game, you're just trying to find out what happened to the main character's father and what's going on with the Pokemon in this city, not region, just this city, Rhyme City. And that's basically the crux of the game, just figuring out what is happening and what has happened to this character. As far as the gameplay is concerned, it is like a cross between Professor Layton and Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, which it's charming. It definitely skews a lot easier than those two games. You can tell that they wanted this to be like an entry point to those type of point-and-click style games. And it's really cute. The only thing I have issues with as far as the gameplay is concerned is that you could physically know the answer to, the question, that you would know who done what in what chapter, and the game will not let you solve it until you've, met the task that it wants you to meet. And I guess that's for, younger gamers, just to make sure they can't like really skip through anything. There is a lot of reading, but the game does have a great voice cast as well for its cutscenes. So I thought the gameplay of it, like I said, cross between Layton and Phoenix Wright, but skewing a little bit younger. As far as the Amiibo support is concerned, this is some of my favorite Amiibo support in a game. So throughout the game, while you're solving the mysteries, you get these Pika prompts. Pika prompts are small cutscenes in which Pikachu gets to showcase his specific personality, or he'll sometimes give you little, hints on how to be a better detective. And what the Amiibo support does is it unlocks any Pika prompts that you didn't find throughout the course of playing the game, which was great because during the review process of this game, I didn't have a chance to look at all the Pika prompts. I was trying to write the review in a timely fashion. So getting to watch the Pika prompts with the Amiibo support, I thought that was great. So for any non-advanced gamers, they have the opportunity to see these Pika prompts without actively going into a Pika prompt within the main story. I do want to say this. I have been really negative about a Detective Pikachu movie, and I will say that my opinion has somewhat changed based on actually having played the game and seeing that the game had a little bit of a darker story to it, despite skewing younger as far as gameplay is concerned. I don't think they, were stingy with like the more dark detective-y, type of story that the game had. So I think that a movie done in a similar vein could definitely work. I'm still not happy with Ryan Reynolds as Pikachu. I think that's god-awful.
Yeah, it's not a good choice.
Ryan Reynolds only plays Ryan Reynolds in movies. He's not a bad actor when he's Deadpool, but Deadpool is literally just Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah,
he was born to play that part.
Just like Robert Downey Jr. was born to be Iron Man.
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
There are people who are designed for certain things, and those two guys just happen to fall right into place.
Mm-hmm.
But to see him as Detective Pikachu is going to be off-putting because I don't necessarily think he can pull off the gruff detective thing that the actual voice actor in the game has. But it is what it is. I will say that if they could at least be true to the story of the game, I think that it could actually be a good movie. So I will rescind some of my previous statements based on having played the game and having a chance to experience that for myself. My only other thing is I do want to say, as much as I enjoyed this game, I do not think it's a proper send-off for Pokemon on the 3DS. I love Pokemon so much. To see this be the final game for the 3DS. It's almost a little sad because they could have ended it with Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, and it would have been okay. Probably better if they ended on Sun and Moon, even though those games, as far as difficulty is concerned, they skew probably the youngest in the Pokemon franchise as a whole. But this game is just a little too different, to truly be seen as a Pokemon game. It definitely fills the role of the Pokemon spin-off games, which we haven't got in a while. Probably would have been better suited
on Switch.
On the Switch. I did want to say that. Graphically, this is the best-looking Pokemon game that isn't Pokken Tournament. Like they did such a good job, and the motion capture on Pikachu, as terrifying as that looked initially when we all saw it, it really works. It really works, and I do want to shout out there's this one little cameo appearance that I just have to spoil. I'm sorry, guys.
Okay.
Ash's Pikachu does make an appearance in Detective Pikachu pretty early on, and it's blatantly Ash's Pikachu, which basically puts this game in the canon of the anime. So, that was pretty cool, and I think that's really the first time I can remember, a game referencing the anime so specifically. So, as far as the Pokemon franchise is concerned.
Wait. So could this mean... So the main character in Detective Pikachu's name is Jack, right?
Tim.
I don't know where I got Jack from. Does it mean that Tim could be the new Ash in the anime once they finish Sun and Moon?
I doubt it, but...
Instead of Ash's Pikachu, it's Tim's Detective Pikachu?
That would be pretty cool. I would watch a Detective Pikachu miniseries.
No. It's the same Pokemon anime, but we have a new protagonist with a new Pikachu who is Detective Pikachu.
I would
totally watch that. I would totally watch that. But that actually reminds me. Do you guys remember when Pokemon Snap came out? I don't know.
Well, I don't remember when, but I've played it. Yeah.
When Snap came out, the anime crossed over.
Yeah, they had the character with the camera, right?
Todd or Snap, because there was some the character crossed over into the anime a couple of times.
He was also in Chronicles.
Yes, he had his own episode. I would appreciate them to do something like that, to have Detective Pikachu show up in Alola and working with Officer Jenny. That'd be great. Cool. I would watch a whole episode. I would watch a whole series of Detective Pikachu. But if you want to give me any kind of crossover, have Detective Pikachu and Tim go to the Alola region and have them solve like an Ultra Beast mission with the Looker. Yes, Detective Pikachu, Officer Jenny, and the Looker. That is your super crime fighting force right there. Pokemon anime team, make that happen.
Looker, I don't like you mentioned Looker because that's something I want to talk about later in this episode. So put Looker on hold. Although could we take Ash and the gang to Rhyme City or whatever it's called? It's Rhyme City, right?
Rhyme City, Ryme.
All right, Rhyme City. Could we put Detective Pikachu or put Ash in Rhyme City for an episode of the anime?
If they do it, I don't want them to do it as an episode. I want them to do it as a feature. Feature film. Like,
that would be cool. Yeah,
make it a whole movie. You could have the two Pikachus interacting,
like Necrozma and Detective Pikachu. Like they do, like the Hoopa and the like gates or whatever, and then
exactly. What would be cool though is that Detective Pikachu can't use any electric attacks. So to have him interacting with a normal Pikachu that can, I would love to see like how Ash's Pikachu actually interacts with Detective Pikachu in like a battle sense, like. What are you doing? Pika! And he's like, I can't use that move!
Yeah, he can't even use quick attack.
Pulls out a snub-nosed .38 revolver. And he's like, what are you doing? I can't use no attacks.
I would just love to see how that would work in the course of a film. And it would have to be something funny, like have it be like a Charizard like that's like 5 times its normal size and just have them freaking out at each other. I can't do quick attack. It would be great. No, I think they should definitely cross the character over.
Yeah.
And I definitely think this game deserves a sequel. I think this is a brilliant way of expanding the Pokemon brand, but it takes Pikachu and it takes away all the things we love about Pikachu and gives us new things to love about the character.
Yeah.
When you mentioned sequel, and I only mentioned earlier, I didn't want to talk about it, but now I think I have to. for the movie we're getting, I feel like that movie might be not a retelling of the story, but a sequel to this game's story, and that maybe they would also structure it so that you don't need to watch the first or play the game to understand it. Really, I think that's the best course of action here. If it's a similar, has similar vibes and feelings, but
they could get away with
its own original story.
They could get away with it. The game ends open-endedly,
and
I won't spoil the ending. I don't. I want people to play this game, but it does have an open end that could definitely lead to a sequel. And
in the movie was what I would assume.
How they want to do that is really interesting. If the film wants to go that route, that would probably be better. Just because I don't necessarily need to see a retelling of the game. Although by the time the movie does come out, there will be the space of a year separating the release of the game and the launch of the movie. And that's the one other thing I feel weird about the timing of the release of this game.
Yeah.
Knowing that the movie is off a year, as glad as I am to have played this game, as glad as I am to have, experienced it, it is really weird timing. It's almost like we need a space filler, guys. Let's drop this. Or we need to show that we're still supporting 3DS, so we'll give them this game now. And marketing-wise and timing-wise, it's off. But I will say this: the amiibo itself that they tied to this game, I see this thing just selling more than the game.
Yeah, it's a really solid amiibo.
I bought two, one for in-box and one for out-of-box, just because I'm a collector like that, and one in and one out. And they are selling like crazy here. The first day, I was checking inventories for all the local GameStops. Nobody had it. Targets didn't have it. The only place that has it is Toys R Us, and because of the liquidation sales, they're selling fast there too. So
yeah.
But those are my overall thoughts. For anybody who wants a more in-depth review of Detective Pikachu, go ahead and watch my video review. It's on YouTube, youtube.com/Nintendo Power Zone. Hope you guys really enjoy that. And again, it's time to move into our next topic. But before we do that, we're going to take a 5-minute commercial break, and we're going to talk about Pokemon on the Nintendo Switch. So don't go anywhere, okay, guys? And welcome back to Nintendo Power Zone. We are a bi-weekly video cast podcast dedicated to the best Nintendo-related topics. And as far as best Nintendo-related topics are concerned, I think we have one that's on the forefront of everybody's mind, especially with E3 coming up. And that's Pokemon Switch. We want to know more about this game. We've got no information. They literally haven't said anything since E3. So we're here to just speculate. We're gonna take those detective hats that we wore during the Detective Pikachu conversation. We're gonna keep them on, and we're gonna slide them into our Pokemon Switch predictions, or what do we want? Speculation. Our Pokemon Switch speculation show. So, first things first. What returning features do you guys want in this new mainline game?
It's an odd feature, but it was removed for like all the games that could have been really good. But the mail system, like the mail was an item that you could buy in the shops.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And the point of mail was really cool, that you could write a little message and then give it to a Pokemon as held item, and then trade it to your friend and they get the little mail message. Which, was cool, except, we didn't have the online that we have now for like GTS trading or just Wonder Trade. Wonder Trade would make that feature so cool.
Wait, okay, so just as a reminder, mail was Pearl, And Diamond?
It was definitely Gen 3. I'm not sure if it was in Gen 4. It was definitely Gen 3.
Gen 3 was Ruby, Sapphire.
And Emerald, yes. It was not returning in Ruby or Mega Ruby or Alpha Sapphire, though.
Oh, that's disappointing.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get it straight for the people who don't know offhand.
Yeah, it was such an underused item at the time, specifically because of the online features. But now it would work perfectly. I want mail. If anything comes back, I want mail. I know, but
yeah, this is a pretty good feature actually. This one I haven't really thought about. Golden, Diamond and Pearl in so long that's a feature that I completely neglected in my thought process. Jaden, what do you got?
When it comes to extra features, let me just say straight out that my favorite out of all of them were the X and Y generation. I thought overall that had probably the best story, and I was the most invested with it. But in terms of extra features, something about Pearl and Diamond with the underground, and I think that was the one where you were able to carry around the little bushes with you to grow berries on the go. Being able to make the little, what is it, puff things? The cream puffs or whatever? I'm blanking on what they were actually called.
Poffins for contests.
Yes, those things were super cool. I really enjoyed that feature. One of the dumb things I really, really liked was being able to decorate like your Pokeball. You know what I'm talking about?
Ball capsules. That was the next thing that I was going to talk about, actually. You already covered a couple more. Ball capsules needed to come back in X and Y, because with the 3D graphics, they could have been good again.
Yeah, right? Like, and so one of the things that was always a bit weird to me with ball capsules in general is that you can't change your balls, No. And I really wish, like, what I've always wanted to do is I've always wanted to get a full team where they're the inverse colors, where it's the white with the red, the celebration balls, whatever the hell they call them.
There's the cherish balls and the prism balls. But prism balls, I think, what you're talking about.
No, I'm talking about the ones where if you buy 10 Pokeballs at a time, they give you an extra one.
Prism balls, or not. Premier balls.
Yeah, that's the one.
Prism, oh my god.
Yeah, yes, I've always wanted to be able to just have a full team in Premier Balls, but you can't swap balls. Like, what the hell? It's weird to me, and that's a feature that I've always wanted in the game, but they've never done. So that's...
You can breed the balls now. If you have a Pokemon that's caught in a Premier Ball, you can then breed it, and it will carry down the Premier Ball in the offspring, which is kind of cool. Previously, it was only Pokeballs.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's something I never actually noticed in Ultra Sun. So yeah, interesting.
I also do agree with the underground. The underground was really, really cool. Plus, it was the best way to do fossils. Fossils were handled really well.
Underground was such an underutilized feature. It was so good. I have so many good memories of dicking around in the underground when I should have been paying attention in class. But I mean. It was so weird that they took it away, because it was basically like an entirely different... it was like a post-game, you know what I mean? That you just dick around with your friends, but not being a real post-game. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Oh, man. I kind of want to ape off of your Pokeballs just a little bit, but mine's a little bit more specific. I want Apricorns to return from Pokemon Gold and Silver, and I want to be able to make those specific balls that we had in Pokemon Gold and Silver. I know it's a cheesy feature, especially since you can just like buy like dive balls and net balls and the nighttime ball. I don't remember what they're all called, but there was something satisfying about picking an apricot and then taking it to the old man and having him fashion you a custom Pokeball. I loved that. I really did. I also want Pokegear to come back from that game. I thought that was a really great feet in
the radio was great.
And then just being able to like randomly call NPCs. But if the Pokegear comes back, I want it to be a little bit more fully functioned in the fact that I want to be able to use Pokegear to contact people in my friends list and have a conversation with them. Hey, do you want to trade or do you want to battle? I want to be able to use the Pokegear in a real world functional type of way, even if I have to use the app to do that. Make that app functional for something more than just Splatoon right now. and bring back voice chat to Pokemon, because we haven't had voice chat in Pokemon since Diamond and Pearl.
No, it was in Black and White, as well as I believe it was in
it?
X and Y. I don't know if it was in Sun and Moon. I didn't play too much with friends in Sun and Moon, but it was. It was in.
I did love voice chat on my DS. I have a very weird story about that. When that game came out, I was in college, so was Mario After Party, but he was going to college in London. Mm-hmm. And that's how we actually communicated to each other. Like, I would call him via Pokemon, and we'd be trading Pokemon and talking to each other like an everyday conversation. So I definitely think that's a feature that would be really cool to add to the Switch version.
I want to
bring back Pokemon,
but also jump a bit into the online section without actually. We're not jumping in. There's more features I want to talk about. But I want the player search system, the PSS, to return from Mega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire, and X and Y. They ditched it in Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, and Sun and Moon for the Festival Plaza, which I liked that they brought back the shopping mall from Black 2, White 2. But I like player search system more, simply because I could be doing anything, and someone could challenge me to a battle. Otherwise,
it was always on.
Yeah, it was always on.
Yeah, that was cool. I do agree.
But then having to go into Festival Plaza was just annoying. If I wanted to meet a random stranger, I had to go through Festival Plaza, which wasn't convenient.
Yeah, I never use Festival Plaza. I don't even touch it. I don't touch it.
No.
I don't care about the Poké missions. I would care about them if I didn't have to enter a separate screen.
Yeah.
If it was just there and I could access it at the bottom screen. Mm-hmm. Although that brings us to a new conundrum with the single screen, of the Switch. Mm-hmm. Where do these features go?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I almost wonder if it maybe a notification that pops up, but that's not the same thing. I don't know. I have no clue. But I do know that I didn't want to go into online yet because I still want to talk about headbutting trees needs to come back. I agree with apricorns. I want the honey system to come back too. Like every single way you could get an encounter that wasn't like traditionally walking through grass or fishing, I want back. So that's like honey trees, that sweet scent, that's the I've already forgotten now. Headbutting trees, etc. Stuff like that.
Did they take that out in Ultra Sun and Moon?
Headbutting trees has been out for a while. It was only really in
the other things.
Oh, honey. Honey's in. It's just not like a thing. Like you could in Diamond and Pearl, you just open a can of honey, acted like sweet scent. You could slather it on trees to get exclusive Pokemon. But now it's just it's an item that's not easy to find. It just works like sweet scent, and that's all pretty much, which is really annoying. And then I also want bug catching contests and stuff like that to return.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
But that made the world of Gen 2 feel much more alive. Where on every Tuesday or Thursday or whatever it was, there was a bug catching contest at this time at this place, and that was so cool. I feel like maybe it doesn't necessarily have to be a bug catching contest. Maybe like a Safari Zone scavenger hunt could be cool sometimes. I don't know.
I mean, Safari Zone would be cool to come back in total.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, agreed. Yeah.
But didn't Diamond and Pearl also have something similar where they had certain dayed events?
More or less, not really though.
It's been so long since I played, I can't even remember.
It didn't really. It had some stuff that would happen from time to time, like what? So the Drifloon would appear outside Valley Windworks on certain days in the morning. Rotom was available to find at the TV in the early mornings. And then yeah, that's it pretty much. There were certain things that were contests. I don't know. Yeah, there wasn't really much in Gen 4 though.
As far as additional, returning, features I want back in the game, I think the one feature I desire the most out of all others is an extra region.
Gen 2 had Johto and Kanto.
Yeah.
But that's something we're gonna go to later, I believe, right? Or is that the next talking point we're going to next?
Let's see. So, yeah, we can use that to segue.
Yeah.
Well, really quick. The last feature, which I know is kind of it's an obvious one, but I really liked how X and Y's customizability of the avatar.
Yeah,
that was really cool.
I mean, that's a standard at this point. The reason it wasn't a standard in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire is because Brandon and May are Brandon and May. Yeah, I think that's a thing that'll stick around for a while at this point, though.
I hope so.
Right, but using that as a feature, let's talk about the the overall game as a whole, do you think this is going to be set in a pre-existing region, or is this more of like a reboot, just, like the traditional new region, or is this a reboot set in Kanto?
So, I think it's not only a new region, but I think we're getting a new dimension. I think our starter main character will be from the Ultra Space. I think he's going to be from like Megalopolis or whatever. Because we know they have children who get starting Pokemon. Poipole was a traditional starter from the Ultra Space, usually. So we could get Ultra Space starters and then go through the Ultra Space as the main region, or maybe swap back and forth between Ultra Space and a actual main region. But this allows us to sort of fill in loose ends and visit certain places, such as, like, we could go to a certain area of Kanto to interact with characters that we might have seen, like Bill. We could jump into a wormhole to see Bill talking with Lily and her mother, Lusamine, after the events of Sun and Moon. That would be pretty cool. It allows us to sort of connect all the regions, but only lock it so like you only get like Bill's house. You can't leave Bill's house for some reason. But you can go into other settings of the regions, but still just focus on the main region you're in and the Ultra Space region that's also there. That's how I think it should be done.
So I'm gonna backtrack real quick. One of the features I forgot that you reminded me of, Blues, with mention of Lusamine. I want them to feature more waifu material, because that was fantastic. And if they could add some more husbando material,
or Lusamine.
Oh, for me it was Lusamine. Yeah, okay. So a little bit of self-disclosure. I'm all into the crazy Yandere. Like, okay, that's my thing. But anyway, no. But I also would like to see Nintendo throw in some husbando material, because all they had was shoot, I'm blanking on the professor's name.
Kukui.
Kukui.
Yeah, they had Kukui, but they left all the females and the LGBT spectrum guys high and dry.
I feel like there was a decent bit of husbandos. There was what's his face? Kiawe, the fire type guy. Kiawe. There's more people than I don't remember any of them now, but I feel like there's more people give credit for. There were a lot of other ones. They're kind of like Hala and the electric guy.
I mean, Hala is if you're into bears.
I mean, bears are like old man. He's a great. I love Hala as a character. He's not husbando material though. I agree. Maybe if you like bears.
We're getting off.
Anyway, sorry to derail that. My bad. Yeah. I just had to throw in some credit for Nintendo's new waifu strategy, because it's working for me. In terms of the game, I want to say they're gonna follow their trend of being a new area. Where, I have no idea, but I'd like to see a new area in tandem with an old one, so kind of doing a throwback to Gen 2. I think it'd be cool.
I think it's going to be Ultra Space. I think Ultra Space is still unexplored. Having a main character from Ultra Space could answer a lot of questions that were left after the Sun and Moon games, as well as just... I think they're almost setting us up for it with Poipole, because Poipole is a starter Pokemon just from Ultra Space. I think they're setting us up for this. I think it answers a lot of questions if they allow it to happen. And I think it's really, really cool to set it in another dimension, pretty much. That's my theory. Cool. Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be the odd duck here, but I want a Kanto reboot, but I want it done in a way that is more reflective of the current times we live in. Mm-hmm. Pokemon is supposed to be slightly more advanced than we are currently. So I would like to see an updated Kanto that is more reflective of the kinds of technology that we have now, but with, set in that space where they take that's what's currently existing, but they put their spin on it to make it look a little bit more futuristic. And I like the Kanto region so much. It's so great, and there's so much more they could explore with it if they were to update it. But I would also like them to have an additional region, something that's not Johto, something that's not necessarily any of the other regions we've previously had, but something that's close enough that they could explain how you would be able to get there. And if that takes the form of a new region, that would be legit. I know that they've said they wanted to explore something bigger, something more open world because of the inspiration they took from The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. So that could really affect how we play these games in terms of regions. Whereas like Breath of the Wild showed us how much you could do with just one space of the game. Like the Great Plateau is massive, and it's less than 1% of the game overall. So how does Pokemon embrace that? Can we see 2, 3, 4 regions in a game that's specifically designed for the Switch, something bigger, something that really takes advantage of the hardware in that way?
I think if we do get a returning reboot or just a remake of a specific region, I think they need to be changed heavily to reflect what's going to be modern times we live in. Like we now live in a world where Pokemon don't have HMs anymore. It's all just the fried Pokemon now. I think it's the move that they want to switch to, which doesn't fit Kanto. So my proposition for this is you make a new sort of Kanto story. Everything's the same. You maybe start backwards, though. You start like the end, like a town that's not Pallet Town. I don't know if they could even do that. That's like sacrilege. But they did that in Black 2 compared to Black 1. As well as in Generation 2, you started not in Pallet Town, I believe, as well. You went sort of zigzaggy from the story.
Yeah.
So I think you should have to start sort of backwards, tell a new story, and then instead of HMs, you can use the ride Pokemon for different kinds of puzzles. So where you'd find the HM for Surf in the Safari Zone, you don't need to do that necessarily, but that's taken out, but you still have the Safari Zone, etc., and stuff like that. That's how I think that should be done. I don't know.
All right. So let's go ahead and segue. For the last 2 decades, the Game Freak has said that Pokemon is a handheld experience and should always be on a handheld system. With the Switch being both portable and console system, is there a possibility that Game Freak excludes a dock mode for this new Pokemon game? Just a handheld-only Pokemon experience?
I think no.
I think I really want to shout out to SSB Candidates because he's got, or she, or they've got a great idea with a Facebook-like thing in Pokemon. I think that'd be pretty legit. Honestly, that'd be pretty cool.
That's something I want to get on later, actually, when we talk about the online features.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I'm just saying we should table it for later because that's a really cool.
Oh yeah, I actually kind of like his other comment too. He points out it could be like a Monster Hunter / Fallout hybrid, one that embraces like the open worldness of Pokemon. Well, a game that actually takes advantage of the fact that Pokemon are supposed to be physically visible everywhere you look.
Yeah.
So you can see them in like the overworld map at all times. That would be cool because instead of just having it be a random encounter, you choose that encounter.
Yeah,
I think that if they did something like that, it would have to be. There's a rumor a while back about how it would be a more of a live action battle system in the Switch version, similar to Ni no Kuni or the Digimon games. And if they did it like Ni no Kuni, I think that would work really, really well. Well, in terms of it being mobile only, my verdict is no. I think Pokemon Company likes to make things traditional, and they have their standards, but I think they are willing to make the change if it's there. As well as I feel like it's not necessarily shooting themselves in the foot by not making it docked, but it's one of those things like, why can't you include it? Why restrict this just because? I feel like that's really going to hurt them if they do. But no, we saw when they were only using sprites, they were very adamant about how sprites are the pinnacle of beauty. We're not going 3D because 3D looks like trash. We know 3D. We're sticking with sprites. 3D sprites are beautiful. And then they jumped to 3D when it was sort of needed to. And they made that transition despite being stuck on that idea of sprites. So I think being a mobile experience won't really deter them. We look at features that were cut out in certain games like 3D. I feel like that's just one of those things where it wasn't necessary. Not many people used the 3D. I loved it, and people used it. So it wasn't too necessary. And in Sun and Moon, it sort of was too much for the system to handle to allow people to use it as well.
See, I'm not 100% adverse to it being a handheld-only experience. I think we've played Pokemon games, if you're as old as I am, we've played them for the last 20 years, and in handheld, and I don't think you gain anything necessarily by having a dock mode in the game.
You don't. Putting the options back.
Yeah, it will be a missed opportunity for a niche of people that want to play docked. Because let's face it, most people play Pokemon at home versus, out on the go. Sure, there's a large number of people that do play Pokemon everywhere they go, but
you play it in your house on the handheld though, but you can take it with you. Yeah.
But yeah, why not use that opportunity? But I just don't feel like the Pokemon Company, Game Freak. I feel like they feel beholden to keeping the franchise portable and a interactive experience. They want you to go out and meet people. They want you to go out and have an experience. They want you to trade with people. They want you to battle with people. And even though they've embraced online functionalities in later Pokemon games, they have been really hesitant to provide their own console-based experience. If you look at it, all the console experiences that we have that are reflective of a traditional Pokemon game, like Pokemon Stadium or Pokemon Coliseum, those games are made by other companies. They're not made by Game Freak. They're not in-house developed games.
Yeah.
So I could honestly see them, foregoing a dock mode and just saying, hey, this is how we present Pokemon to the world, and this is how we will do it until somebody else takes charge of this company and forces our hand.
I think that's just one of those things that they should always be down to the player's choice. Players that will go portable will go portable. Players that will stay at home will stay at home. And if, people will play portable only, it doesn't necessarily encourage either way going out and meeting people to play Pokemon, especially when the Switch itself is just a portable console. You can just do that anyways if you wanted to. If I want to play dock mode, I probably won't maybe get out as much to meet people. But if I'm more of a portable guy, I might. I think it just goes down to the player's choice, and there's no reason. You're already doing that with the Switch. Why limit it?
Yeah, I think the only way they'd ever limit it to dock mode only is if they have specific touchscreen features, which I can't really see happening with a standard Pokemon game. I could see it happening for Pokemon Ranger.
Yeah.
Because they could do Ranger on the Switch. It'd be kind of weird without the dual screens, but you'd still have that touchscreen, so theoretically you could make it work. But with a main franchise,
it would be as simple as a screen transition, for Pokemon Ranger.
Yeah. But I'm saying with the main series, assuming that it follows the traditional formula and doesn't derivate too drastically, I don't see any reason why they would limit themselves that way. Especially since when you're docked, you get the upscaling and the faster processing. So
plus charging becomes more inconvenient while playing. You have to unplug your cord. To charge while playing. Does Game Freak
necessarily have the manpower to make a game like this?
Be upscaled?
One with the scope of a Breath of the Wild or a Mario Odyssey, because they split into two teams. We had one team developing Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, and that was, we'll call them the B team with the younger development staff, and now we've got the older development staff, and they never said if or what they were working on. So by splitting their manpower, were they able to make a game that could get docked and upscaled and looks the way we all think a Pokemon game should look in 2018?
I assume they've been working on it for a while.
I think they started production near the end of the first Sun and Moon game, and that was technically a while ago at this point.
If anything, they probably started during production of Sun and Moon, so I think they've had a pretty good head start.
They have this down to a science where they can crank these out faster as well. We're seeing a lot more Pokemon games coming out a lot faster.
Yeah, they also did the thing where Sun and Moon, they created the Pokemon engine. So, assuming that they're not recreating the engine, it should cut development time. Again, these are a bunch of assumptions because we don't know anything about the actual game itself yet. But
All right.
If we assume that everything's following in line, then it should be easier to develop. That's actually why a lot of game companies, what they used to do way back in the day, one of the reasons why it took forever to develop games is because for each new game they develop a new engine, and
to build it from the ground up.
Yeah, it takes forever. And so that's a lot of the times why you see these new Japanese companies back in like 2007 to 2012, they were running off of Unreal, and recently they all made their own engines. Like Konami made the what is it called, the Foxhound engine.
Yeah,
Square Enix has their own whatever.
The white engine.
What is it called?
The white engine.
Yeah, whatever it's called. And I guess Pokemon has their Pokemon engine now, so it's cool.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and slide into our next talking point. With Nintendo Switch launching online in September, are there any online features that don't exist in Pokemon currently that you would like to see added that a new online service could provide?
Once again, there was that comment about the Facebook sort of media, but I don't want to touch on that just yet. I want to transition that into the other things I've been thinking of. I want to see Pokemon Bank get a bit more use out of it. So I think how we're going to get our Pokemon from 3DS to Switch will be through transferring through Pokemon Bank. They will probably, I would assume, do another free trial for it to get that transfer just over. I think it's going to be that's how they're going to transfer everything over. But I think having Pokemon Bank on a whole new system that is the Switch and building a whole new Pokemon game ground up for the Switch, and Pokemon Bank now exists, allows them to do a lot more stuff. I think they could make what was essentially more or less Pokemon Bank before Pokemon Bank back in Gen 4. And I would like this as a return, as well as this will lead into the Facebook thing. Another My Pokemon Ranch.
Yeah.
My Pokemon Ranch was that you could transport your Pokemon Diamond and Pearl Pokemon into the Wii game, and you just look at them. You could play games, you could take photos, you could pet them. And it's sort of like Pokemon Amy, but it was on the Wii. And you could take pictures and groom on them and whatever. And your friends could visit. And so how I could see this working is you could send Pokemon either from the game or from the bank to a ranch on the Switch, where you could then take screenshots or pet with them. But you could invite your friends over, schedule Pokemon playdates with your friends through the app. I think the app would be a big part of this. The phone app. You could send posts about your Pokemon, like my Pikachu is so cute, like hashtag Pokepika or like stuff like that. Send a screenshot. Make a playdate to play. I feel like that's a decent way to do it. And then so that's like the Facebook app where you can send the pictures and the messages about your Pokemon. Schedule the playdates would be through the app, similar to the Facebook thing.
Well, to take a page out of Pokemon Go's handbook, I want to do
that next. Actually,
I would like to see them integrate a raid functionality of some sort that this new online service can provide. A group of like 3 or 4 people, going up and tackling on
a challenge.
Exactly. Instead of just willy-nilly distributing these legendary Pokemon, make us actively work for them in a raid setting with our friends. And so you would probably have to meet special requirements in the game before you could go ahead and access that functionality. But once you have done those things, you then use that online service to actively participate in an online raid with a group of people.
Now, if they do bring bug catching contests back as well and stuff similar, playing those with friends through online would be cool as well, I think.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But taking another page out of Pokemon Go's book and almost Heart Gold Soul Silver Pokewalker stuff, we assume that if we got a mobile app such as Pokemon Go for the phones, we could once again go use Pokemon Bank to transfer Pokemon from the game to our phone, or from our phone to the game through Pokemon Bank if they made a phone app for it. I just want to say, obviously Pokemon Go is not getting that kind of support at this point. I think that's just a given. It's not getting that support. It would have been nice if it did. It's not. But so give us just the Pokewalker from Heart Gold Soul Silver on our phones.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
Pokemon Bank to make it work.
I can see something like that being really fun. Or some kind of integration with Pokemon Go, where they just add that functionality into the Pokemon Go game and having a connected feature to the mainline game.
That would have been what I would have said ages ago. I think it's just not going to happen for Pokemon Go. I think it could happen otherwise, though.
I mean, they could also sell a separate accessory for it. I mean, Pokemon Go proved that the PokeGo wristband thing. Yeah, the Pokemon. Those sold like hotcakes for the first 2 months. It was impossible to find, and so that proves that if there is demand for apps or accessories
like that,
if they function, so they could even do that.
But that doesn't necessarily make use of the online functions that I'm trying to worm my way in somehow to make these online subscription based. But yeah, I think Pokemon Ranch, Pokemon like Walker stuff, and then just obviously the better connectivity. Once again, returning player search system, bug catching contests, getting online. I like your idea of raids as well. But that's what I have to say then, I guess.
I think another online thing that I would really like to see is some sort of integration where kind of like the Underground, but then you could play like Pokemon Coliseum type minigames. Honestly, I'm a sucker for I have a lot of really good nostalgic memories with Pokemon Coliseum, so maybe it's too far-fetched to incorporate and all together, but it would be nice to have something like that there, I think.
How about integration with the Pokemon League as far as online competitions? Something that they could monitor, or even like a capture function, so that if you do participate in an online league battle, your league match can be verified not only through the playtime, but through like a recorded function that could be submitted to the Pokemon League's website.
You're saying from Pokemon.com on the computer.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be pretty cool. I think giving that extra portal as well would be really nice. They've been doing a lot of cool functionality with the online portal on Pokemon.com as well for the league stuff. It's really grown. Part of me kind of wishes we got something like the Dream World back, because that was interesting. Too kid-friendly minigame stuff, but there was a lot of good stuff that was sort of connectivity with that. As well as you could see, I'm not sure if you still can, I haven't checked in a while, the how people are trading or what people are doing. You can see just random people, which was kind of cool. I think they could do a lot with that online status, yeah.
What about the return of the GTS with a new online, these new online services, the Pokemon GTS making its grand return and being really functional?
I think the GTS won't ever change. I think GTS is kind of just the GTS. I don't know how they can improve it. Honestly, it's a little slow sometimes. That would be faster. I just don't think it could be that improved by it.
So this is going to be the first time that we're going to be paying for these online services in the mainline Pokemon series. What are you guys' thoughts on this? And do they need to implement some of the things that we've said in order for people to not feel burned by having to pay for the franchise in this type of way?
I don't think so. I think, like I've said with Smash Bros, people will pay to play for glory. I think a lot of people will pay to play Pokemon. I think it's not going to be the biggest deal in the world for them if it's only $20 a year, especially in comparison to other places, as well as if they're big Splatoon fans, big Smash Bros fans. It's just another added thing to have Pokemon as part of that package. I also think that the only real sore spot would be having to pay for Pokemon Bank and the online. I almost sort of wonder if they might do it so that you can bundle the subscriptions together, or they ditch the subscription service for Pokemon Bank, and you just need to be an online subscriber for
it. Tie it to the Nintendo app, and then that's one of the functions. Just like how Splatoon had its segment, Pokemon would have its own.
It'd be weird to have that be a separate subscription. I think that would make a lot of people salty.
Yeah, having both subscriptions would be a slap in the face to have to subscribe to Pokemon Online and Pokemon Bank, especially for the features that I've described. Getting access to My Pokemon Ranch and the Facebook, whatever, and your Pokemon Bank, obviously. But what do you do if you're not subscribed to both?
I think the thing that comes into play here is the financial aspect of it. Whereas Nintendo and DNA developed the My Nintendo app together, and they'll see any and all profits of that venture. Game Freak developed Pokemon Bank, and that's that's an additional revenue for them. would they have to increase the overall price point of My Nintendo's online service so that Game Freak could maintain the revenue that they currently receive from, Pokemon Bank? I mean, at the end of the day, it's all numbers and money, and none of these companies want to lose, a cent. If they can stop themselves from losing money, both of these companies have proven that they will take whatever means necessary to maintain their revenue flow.
I mean, by making online paid for Pokemon, it doesn't change Game Freak's financials in terms of the online, but lumping it all together with Pokemon Bank loses their Pokemon Bank subscriptions. So, I don't know. I think they don't lose much in terms of the online otherwise, though. So I don't think it might not be too big of a problem. I also sort of wonder if maybe, like, Pokemon Bank, I believe, is stored on a server, like a cloud service you'd see otherwise. And I almost wonder if the $5 a year more so goes to supporting that than to Game Freak. And if they could lump that server into the My Nintendo online service, it wouldn't be that big of an issue, I feel. I don't know.
All right, so for new people and parents who buy their children Pokemon games, they've gotten accustomed, or they've got and for the new people, they might not necessarily be aware of Pokemon's online services as far as how they are currently. So the people who've gotten accustomed to it, I'm certain they'll be able to see past the paid for hump. But you have to think that there's a large contingency of people who won't partake in that. So what is the solution there? Do they maintain the local functions of trading and battling? Because those seem like features that we pretty much use exclusively for like local multiplayer at this point with games like Mario Kart and ARMS. And to be fair, I don't think the Switch handles those functions with the same ease that the 3DS and the DS before it do. I actually find it a little bit more difficult to use the local multiplayer on the Switch than I do with the 3DS and the DS.
I mean, is that in terms of setup or performance that you don't find it as convenient?
Performance. I've had a lot of dropped Mario Kart local matches where we have been in a local match and the match ends with one of us dropping out.
I haven't had too many performance issues for local. I have had some issues setting things up from time to time, but never in terms of performance. But I don't necessarily think that performance matters too much in Pokemon, because it's like, other than obviously the disconnect, where you disconnect, dropping out, etc., frame rate issues aren't too big of a deal in Pokemon, where it's very turn-based.
All right.
Yeah, I don't think... so maybe I'm a bit skeptical on this, but my sense of the people who are complaining about Nintendo paying for an online service are mostly kids. Is my sense of it.
Or
people who haven't. Yeah, but I mean, with the PlayStation 4 and the Xbone, they have basically set the precedence of having to pay for your online. So Nintendo jumping on that. I think people have already gotten used to the idea. At least the ones who have those other consoles, and I don't know, that's my sense. The people who are complaining are the ones that aren't really paying for it. Or another platform,
If I'm gonna be honest, like, I do not like having to pay for PlayStation Plus. I have not liked the idea of paid online for years. I mean, I'm obviously younger than you guys. So maybe I was a kid back when it was uncool to pay for kids to pay for online. But I'm honestly not a fan of it. If I'm gonna be, at least the 60. I feel like 60 is sometimes a bit much. $20 I'm okay with. That's something that a kid, after like a bit of like allowance, or like after Christmas, they could buy their own online subscription if they really wanted to. It might not be convenient or whatever, but they could go buy the card for it and hook it up.
60s, they would be able to make the the adult choice in that scenario.
Yeah. True.
But I mean, 60 is a good number.
It is
in that you're gonna grumble about it, but you're still gonna do it. And when you're trying to set these things up from a marketing corporate standpoint, that's what you look for. What's the sweet spot of where do we get people to grumble about it and still manage to do it? Because that's how you get the max amount of money.
When you're making a decision to spend money, you actually feel a bit of physical pain. If the pain is too much for what it's worth, you don't buy it. If the pain is not enough, where it's like, oh, well, 2 cents? Of course I got 2 cents. Let's buy like 60 of them. Then you're going to buy a bunch. But having that sweet spot of it where it's like, we'll make profit off of one, but they won't feel too much pain. You're exactly right.
Yeah, and so that's why I think maybe I'm a little more optimistic. I think that when people see the Nintendo's online, they'll be like, oh man, do I have to pay for something else? Oh, but it's only $20. I can float that. Okay, I'll do it. You know what I mean? I think they'll be happier that it's such a cheap entry versus the other ones.
Yeah, and I think the cheap entries makes it a lot easier to swallow.
A lot of this stuff goes towards servers. A lot of people don't remember how bad PSN was way back in the day when it was free, when it was first starting. Like, I'm talking like circa 2007. It was god-awful compared to the Xbox's Gold service, which was really good. You got what you paid for. And so it's just one of those things. You got to pay for server stability and such.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because I assume and I really, really hope we're getting servers. But we don't currently have servers. We're on the free trial for this online right now, and yet we don't have servers.
We're using P2P connections.
Yeah, exactly. P2P. So even if we get charged, are we really getting servers? I really hope so. But right now, there's no confirmation, yay or nay, if we are, which is kind of like, well, then why am I paying?
Well, some things are definitely going to need it. Pokemon could survive staying on a P2P, format, but games like Splatoon, Mario Kart, Smash Bros.
Yeah,
I don't think they would want to launch those games. Well, I mean, they've already launched 3, online games that use P2P, but I don't think they want to go through that again with Smash Brothers. They don't want to do that 3 times.
Yeah, no. I mean, Smash Brothers has notoriously been raked over the coals for having shitty online.
At least it's better than Brawls Online. Brawls Online was the worst. Come on.
But I'm saying, I mean, yeah, you're right. I'm making the assumption that they're going to be giving us servers, and if we're paying for something and they don't give us servers, it's kind of going to be shitty.
Yeah,
I'm just throw it out there, but I'm just making the assumption that we will be getting servers, but we'll find out more in the future.
I would really hope so. Yeah, of course.
Speaking of money makers, while we're on the subject of money, we can use that as a segue. Nintendo has their own little cash cow. It's called Amiibo. Should they finally incorporate Amiibo into the mainline Pokemon games? Now, I don't know if you guys remember this, but before Amiibo was a thing, Nintendo did
have
more specifically Pokemon. Yeah, the Pokemon Rumble Fingers predate Amiibo by a year. But their execution of how they rolled that out globally wasn't as good as their execution in Japan. Japan has the gachapon machines. For those unindoctrinated, gachapon machines are like gumball machines here in America. You put in a quarter, you get something awesome. Well, it's more like 500 yen, but get something awesome. And these were little NFC figures, and that was a really the execution of that is so flawless because gachapon machines are everywhere in Japan.
Yeah,
they're everywhere. Here in America, they made them GameStop exclusive, and GameStop is notorious at not restocking something, especially if it sells out and it's popular. And I actually bought a whole case at my local GameStop of the Pokemon Rumble figures. They never stocked another case after I bought that initial case.
Yep.
So, knowing that their first attempt at NFC had mixed results, do you think they get into the gravy train that is Amiibo? Because a line of Pokemon Amiibo could do well. The Detective Pikachu Amiibo proves that the Pokemon Company can do a fantastic Amiibo. And right now, I think the Smash Amiibo for Pokemon are some of the best ones, especially Jigglypuff, who was exclusive to Target. was really hard to come by, and so were Greninja and Lucario, which were exclusive to Toys R Us. Pokemon can sell Amiibo. Does this mainline game finally take the steps to incorporate them, or do they continue to shy away from Amiibo?
That's a good question. I mean, on the one hand, we've already got a good existing line of Pokemon Amiibo, but on the other hand, there's going to be like, I assume they'll be adding another 100, so would they really release 600 new Amiibo?
There are currently, I believe, over 700, if that was not the previous generation, but I forget
how many. They're up to 900 something now.
Jesus, like...
I mean, is that true? I only really remember the number from really the X and Y, honestly.
Okay, so
here's something.
Here's what I think they could do to make it more manageable. They could do the card packs.
That's what I was going to say. Card packs, they already have Pokemon cards.
I would be down with that.
Mm-hmm. I think they might also do a mixture where it's like the lesser ones. Like, as much as I would want a like Shedinja Amiibo figure, no one else is going to want to buy that.
Yeah,
so they make that a card, but then they make maybe Pikachu or Charizard or just the legendaries for the generation Amiibos.
You would think that, but the Amiibo quality supersedes that of most American-made toys. Like,
no, they're really good, yeah.
So I could see a full line of Pokemon Amiibo doing really well just because of the whole levels of fanaticism that Pokemon just causes in general.
Mm-hmm.
It could rival the Smash line or even supersede it as far as success if they maintain that Amiibo quality. With cards, as awesome as I think of an idea that is, I think they would have that would be a harder sell because, you know, with the TCG, you are buying a lot of packs to get, you know, a deck that suits whatever need you have. So if you're trying to get a specific team of Pokemon Amiibo in cards, that could be expensive because the Amiibo cards weren't cheap.
Mm-hmm.
They were like $12 for a pack of cards. That's a lot for a pack of cards. How much?
Well, it's also the same price as one Amiibo, though.
See, this is what I'm saying is I think having per Amiibo, like doing the actual figure per Pokemon, might be safer for the consumer if it takes off. If you do the packs, like packs, I think are safer. Card packs, I think, are safer for the
production.
For the production, for the company, because it's much cheaper to create card stock with an NFC chip in it.
It's more manageable.
Yeah.
It's easier to ship out and produce. Like, assuming we don't get waves, or we do get waves, though, who gets what? Does every store get the Shedinja Amiibo that I so desperately want? Or do only certain stores, like, get Shedinja, and I'm just out of luck?
Yeah, I think it would be safer on the corporate side to do packs. And we've seen that the packs have kind of worked with the Animal
Crossing and Super Mario Sports Mix.
Yeah, and we've seen that they've worked to moderate success. Honestly, I think they've been more successful than anybody thought they'd be, considering A, it's Animal Crossing, and B, it's Mario Sports, which are fun titles, but they don't have the draw as Pokemon. So I think if it were me making the decision in corporate, I would back the cards.
Mm-hmm. Right. I would also back the cards. Once again for those same reasons, but also as a consumer, I feel like it's more beneficial to get the cards as well. Sure, I want the figures, but it's $12 for the pack of cards. We've established that that's a lot for a pack of cards. But if they're worth buying the Amiibo, $12.99 for one Amiibo figure, and you have to collect all 900 Pokemon, or a pack of like 10 Amiibos for $12.99 in card form. You got 10 Amiibos right there for the same price as one Amiibo. It's just not a figure. Yeah, I feel like as a consumer trying to collect them all or catch them all, it's more achievable and requires less money to do cards. I also feel like if they can maybe stack on top of the current Pokemon TCG production, maybe the next couple sets could have like Pokemon Amiibos as the actual cards. So they're playing cards, they're just also Amiibo.
And they also, let's not forget that would be super cool to have a future Pokemon TCG card game that uses those Amiibo cards.
I thought the Wii U was perfect for that, as well as I just want another Pokemon TCG video game in general. But
yeah.
Well, to go a little bit more in depth with the card, there is this in between that they have in Japan. There's this game called Pokemon Ga Ole that uses plastic cards that have stickers on top of them. Inside the plastic card is an NFC chip, and this is an arcade game. If I didn't state that, you put the plastic card on top of the machine. It scans it like an amiibo, brings it to life. Card is a little bit thicker than your standard Pokemon card, but it's definitely short. It's got the sticker, and they're really cool, and they're selling like hotcakes. Through the machine, and they actually had a McDonald's Happy Meal promotion where for the boy Happy Meal, you got a exclusive McDonald's Pokemon Go LA set of cards. Instead of as a crossroad, as a in between, they could use something similar to the Ga Ole and do that, and do 3 of those per pack for the same $12.99 price point that they're selling the pack of 10 cards. But then you're still getting something that's a little bit more physical and durable. And that's the thing, when we're talking about Pokemon, we're skewing to a younger age range. So a traditional set of cards might be alienating to purchasers because I don't want to bend my cards, I don't want to crease my cards, I don't want to buy sleeves for my cards. That's the thing with Pokemon card collecting, is if you really get into it, it is a much more expensive venture than just buying the cards. It's about protecting those cards, binders for those cards, or even just the plastic sleeves. That becomes an expensive proposition, especially with the fact that it is an amiibo and people tend to want to preserve their amiibo. So I would like to see a cross between amiibo and Ga Ole in the sense where they use like these. They're still cards, but they're made out of plastic. And,
they could do that. I mean, still, that the production cost of a more durable cardstock is still much cheaper than actually making a figure. So it is theoretically possible.
Yeah, I feel like if they do make them plastic, though, I feel like it's got to maybe have multiple Pokemon on it somehow. Like, I don't know. You scan it and it has a couple somehow. I don't know.
Yeah, it's an interesting sweet spot to get the value versus the per pack cost.
Yeah,
so that'd be interesting to figure out.
True that, but let's go ahead. We got 2 more talking points, and we're finishing up with this bad boy conversation. This is one that's really interesting. I want to hear you guys' thoughts on this. So we said earlier that we know that the Pokemon development staff got split between 2 teams, with the younger design staff working on Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, and the older staff working on God knows what. We assume that it's Pokemon Switch. Is it feasible, though, that because they've had at least a year of development time, that we get an announcement either prior to or at E3? And if so, could the game possibly launch in 2018?
I think they're more than capable of at least getting the E3 announcement in 2018. I'm not counting on it. I think it's one of those things where it might be just too early to say. But I think they're more than capable of getting an announcement out of E3. I don't think it'll drop 2018. I think we might get an announcement. I'm not crossing my fingers or counting my luck on that, though. I think it's possible, though.
See, the September release of My Nintendo Online makes me think that they want to launch that service with a game that utilizes that service properly.
Okay, that's a good point. That is a good point.
If Smash is not a September release, then I definitely have to think that they're pinning their hopes on Pokemon coming out in that time frame.
I don't know about Pokemon. I mean, we've got Smash coming out, which is such a big title. Part of me wonders if, even if the game were to be finished, which they probably could finish it by the end of the year, I think they might hold it as ammo for the next year.
Yeah, how I see this happening is February, like on the anniversary of Pokemon. They've been doing a lot of Pokemon Directs on that day. I think we're going to get the announcement on a Direct on that February, like, anniversary day. And we're going to see it maybe in the summer or, like, a slower time for gaming.
Yeah.
I can see that being the case.
Yeah. Although I wouldn't be surprised. Well, if it comes out at the end of the year either, because I mean, assuming that they're using the Pokemon engine they created, it is possible. It is possible that they could get it all done in time.
All right, so that just brings us to our final talking point. With Pokemon making the move to the Switch, what are your overall thoughts on the 2 generations that were released on the 3DS? That would be Pokemon X and Y, and all 4 Pokemon Sun and Moon games.
As well as Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire? They're part of the same generation.
Yeah, they are part of the same generation.
Right, I'll count them the same as XY. Alright. I was a big fan of X and Y. I really liked seeing Mega Evolutions. I liked all the new Pokemon. I liked all the leaps and bounds they made. I liked pretty much everything. I think it was a great direction. I liked the story for it a lot. Player search system was great once again. Mega Ruby Sapphire was kind of more of a letdown. But I'll get back to Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. We should probably go around and do the rest of the X and Ys.
As far as X and Y is concerned, there were things I love about that game. I love the Pokemon of the region. And as having, been to France more than once, I liked how accurate they made that world feel. Like, I've been to some of the places that they try to represent in the game, and I think they did an amazing job of recreating that world with their own sensibilities. The Pokemon themselves, I honestly think that a lot of them are forgettable, but we got Greninja that generation, who is one of my all-time favorite Pokemon now. And my main issue with X and Y, though, is that's the game where, like, the scale of it just seems a little off. I feel like that whole world-ending scenario, I felt like that was a little too deep for what we ended up getting. I don't feel like they fully fleshed out that particular story in a way that was satisfying. I have the same kind of issues with Sun and Moon, where you play half the game before the story starts, so it's basically the same problem, but in reverse, whereas in X and Y, you start getting those story bits really early, but then they, by the time you beat the game, they don't fully pan out. And then in Sun and Moon, they don't come until the end game, and it all feels really rushed. But I do love different things about those games. As far as Sun and Moon are concerned, I love the changes they made to that game. As far as gyms, the gym mechanic has gotten so stale in 20 years. It was actually refreshing to see the Island Trials and have them be something different. Some of them were weird, like Kiawe's trial was super weird, but I like how they embraced the weirdness of that overall. But overall, I do think that these were 2 of some of the best Pokemon generations to ever come out. They took a lot of what was working in the 2D world and made it better in the 3D space. So, as far as I'm concerned, these are highlights of Pokemon generations as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I mean, I've made no it's no hidden fact that I think that X and Y were much superior to Sun and Moon, just overall. And I really appreciated. I liked the scope of the story, especially coming off the heels of Black and White 1 and 2, where your involvement was much more big than the Sun and Moon trials, which kind of felt kind of small and insignificant to me. And also just generally, like, storytelling for X and Y, to me, it was much more all-age friendly versus Sun and Moon's Saturday morning cartoon, which didn't really... That's one of the reasons why I have a lot of problems getting into the American localized version of Yokai Watch or Extreme, what is it, LBX, Little Battlers Extreme,
Little Battle Experience, and
it's hard for me to get into them because they're so Saturday morning cartoony. And
agreed.
And it's, maybe I'm just getting really, really old, but it just does not appeal. And so X and Y to me, was much more engageable as an adult.
I agree with what you're saying. It was definitely much more age friendly and all across the spectrum, like acceptable or like able to jump in. I want to also talk about the point where Nice One said that the end of the world scenario of X and Y didn't have the same impact. I wrote a very, very long Facebook post in a Pokemon group a long time ago about how if they're going to do the stories for Sun and Moon and X and Y, they should have released them in reverse so that X and Y was built on the Pokemon engine that you've mentioned was built for Sun and Moon. Sun and Moon didn't really need that engine in terms of any of its cinematics or anything, I felt.
Oh, yeah,
But
I see what you're saying.
there's a lot of scenes in X and Y where it could have been great to build the story up in the more visual sense. I feel like writing-wise, it was really well done for Pokemon story. But it lacked when you looked at all the pixely like angles that were there in the smaller sprite forms. And I feel like that was just the big thing, was that X and Y needed that engine to look good.
Yeah, no, I can see that.
Writing-wise, it was perfect in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I definitely see. I think there's a lot of merit to the argument.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's part of what made the appeal Sun and Moon seem better was that the animated cutscenes looked better. The animated cutscenes were really good.
Yeah,
Sun and Moon was one of those games where I finished it, I went back, and I was like, "Wait, is that it?"
Yeah, agreed. Mm-hmm.
I know I've picked on this time and time again before, but like right before you finish the game, there's that the chief or whatever, not the chief, the chick on the mountain, the art chick on the mountain. She's like,
yeah, the fairy trial captain. Just give me here.
She should have given it to you. It's like, oh,
yeah, no challenge whatsoever.
Here you go. And I'm just like, really? Was that really a thing, or were they just rushed for time? Because it felt rushed, and I'm like, come on. I don't know.
No,
the trials were interesting, but I felt like they fell short in some ways.
That's what I want to talk about next. I agree the gym format has been getting a bit old. I feel like part of it might be just more the gym design has been getting stale, the gym design itself. And I do think that the trials offer a lot more interesting approaches to how you could design a gym scenario. Where it's more of a task or a mission instead of just solving the puzzles and battling. Puzzles are what make gyms really, really fun to me. It's not as much the battling as much as it is the puzzles sometimes.
Yeah, and the older titles had some really excellent gym puzzles. Yeah.
Gen 3, especially with like Watson's electric gates, when known as Wind, and Wallace's like ice panels where you couldn't step on the other one.
Gen 2 that had the invisible walls? Or was that Gen 1?
That was Gen 1, I believe, with Lieutenant Surge. That's Surge. That like they had really good gym designs for a while, and that's becoming much more of a rarity. There's still a couple gym designs that are really, really good. Not all of them are that good. There was one in X and Y that I can't remember, but I know it was really good, and I have blanked on it. So well. But so I feel like opening up to trials just does the series a lot good in terms of the gym. Still, you can still have a lot of unique puzzle design. You can do maybe fetch quests or just larger grand things. But they really did fall short. They did a lot of work to become great, because for a lot of them it's just like Kiawe's trial, as we said, was just copy, and then it was just the dancer, the hiker was the only real issue in a lot of them. It's just copy the image, and the hiker was the problem. A lot of them were just like battle or just go through this route and battle, and it's like, well, that's worse than a gym in my opinion, just because it's a wild Pokemon that's easy and not unique, and there's no gym puzzle in these kinds of things either. I'd eventually have a gym puzzle and have to talk to all three, eradicate, and beat them up. I like the idea of totems. I also like the idea of a gym leader battle. But what I really like is getting the Z Crystal instead of a badge. That was really nice, getting the Z Crystals.
It is interesting, although I do have to admit that I missed the ability to polish my badges.
Yeah.
That was
I forgot about that.
In Diamond and Pearl, I think if you don't polish your badges, they actually lose their time. They get dirty. I really like that. Mm-hmm. But I do like the idea of getting a Z Crystal. That was kind of it was kind of nifty, and it was a bit of a payoff. Excuse me.
Yeah, instead of just a shiny piece of plastic that grants you permission to the next area, it did something.
Yeah.
Yeah. You see, going back to the story, maybe it's because I'm coming off of Detective Pikachu and realizing that they could make a smaller, more intimate story with the same kind of repercussions, a movie would have, where people will die, but not this grand scale. People will the whole world is going to die, as in X and Y, where he's about to activate this world destroying weapon, and the first time he did it, millions of people in Pokemon died and whatnot. I thought that was a little too grand, and I just don't think that they were willing to tackle that specific story, with the kind of severity that it would actually entail. And I felt I felt like they just didn't tell that specific story right. But then playing Detective Pikachu, an equally dark story, but with less ramifications than the end of the world.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
People will get hurt, will die, but it's focused on this small space.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally see what you're saying. And I think from that standpoint, if we're going from ramifications and more of actually having an effect on characters, I still think X and Y does that better than Sun and Moon.
I agree.
Sun and Moon is just kind of let's find your mom. Oh, your mom's crazy. Even though she's super crazy hot, she's crazy because she's has a thing for interdimensional Pokemon, and we got to stop her because reasons.
Well, ultimately, only one character changes throughout the course of the events that happen in that game, and that's Lily. The only person that sees substantial changes is Lily. Hal stays the same.
Oh my god, I wanted to kill him so much. That would have made the story a billion times better. Hey, let's just kill Hal.
Yes! I like Hal as a character, but he does not fit. I wouldn't mind having Hal as a best friend, honestly, but he does not fit in this game.
He's kind of a dick, honestly, because he's really, to me, he's super disrespectful. Everyone's talking about, no, Pokemon is serious business. You have to take pride in your Pokemon and the battling. He's there herp derp, I'm going to have fun. Look at me. I'm Steven Universe, but worse. And I'm just oh my god! How? I want to throw you off this boat. Give you to the Drifloons and you die.
And I also, but going back to how you said the main objective was sort of we're gonna find your mom, and I think that's interesting to think about, because there's never really a clear antagonist or consequence throughout most of Sun and Moon. It's in X and Y, you gotta stop Lysandre because he's gonna blow up the world and kill everything. Yeah. But in X and Y, it's okay, well, Team Skull is just throwing a group of punks, they're not causing too much trouble. We're obviously up against them. And then, Aether Conservation, there was a very blurred line of who was the real villain, who was good, who was evil, what your main objective even was throughout all that.
Here's a clue. If they were all white, they're always bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, all white or all black.
That's true. And I see what you're saying, and I liked the way they flirted. So here's the thing. I like the idea of flirting with those concepts, but I don't think Sun and Moon did a good job of staying with them. Every time, things started to get real, Hal kind of showed up and be hi, I'm Hal, I'm a giant fucking moron. And I'm Jesus, it was really getting good, and you ruined the mood.
I don't think it was Hal's fault.
He walks in there and he steals the, he brings too much levity.
He brings too much Masada talk.
Yeah, and I'm dude, they actually had a really good moment where they were talking about their mom and how much it hurt, and you just come in here waltzing in like a big dumbass.
I don't think Hal ruined a lot of that. I think it was just more so present. I like the idea of the flirting with those concepts as well. I like Lucamine as a lot as a character and concept, and how she handled Aether Conservation.
And her art design.
And how that. But how the lines sort of led you to think Guzma and Team Skull, but really it was me, Lucamine.
I agree.
but it wasn't done well. I don't think it was necessarily How's fault. I do like Lily as a character, but then again, she was the only one who also changed, as we've said before. But then also, it did also hold your hand a lot, which in terms of the story, it was much more story-based than it was gameplay-based, I felt. And when that happens, and the story does have a habit of falling flat like that, is where it became a really bad game for me. Either give me a really good story, or give me more gameplay that I like.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I agree.
All right, but yeah, I mean, those are all really good points, and I think we can agree that Pokemon on the 3DS has been a mixed bag, and probably the best results would have been to combine those two games in some sort of way, because there's so many good things about X and Y that we all seem to love, as far as the Pokemon themselves, the world building, and the story. For the most part. And some of the functionalities in Ultra Sun and Sun and Moon would have been welcome in the X and Y franchise. So I think it's fair to say that Pokemon on the 3DS was at its most imperfect as far as what we were getting from each generation on that existing system. Anyway, I think that wraps it up. So any closing thoughts on the show as a whole, guys?
I would like more waifu and less censorship. And husbando. I'm just, throwing it out there. Treehouse, stop screwing up Fire Emblem.
The Pokemon episode is something that I've been wanting to talk about for a long time, especially in terms of speculation. I would like to do a bit more. There's a lot more that I wanted to talk about that we obviously weren't going to discuss today. So I'd like to revisit it at some point, but I'm really happy that we got to talk about Pokemon. Once again, the April Fool's stuff was very, very cute. But yeah, I'm happy with how this show went down as a whole. I'm glad we finally got to talk a bit more about the main Pokemon games as well.
Yeah, it's been a while since we spoke on Pokemon on this show, so it was really nice to go over things that we hadn't spoke on yet and just really just deep dive, speculate, because we know nothing as of yet. So happy we got to talk about it. So guys, we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna get out of here, but before we let you do, we gotta hit you up with the social media links. You can hit me up on Twitter at nice1983. You can email me at nice1983@gmail.com. You can hit me up on Facebook, facebook.com/Nintendo Power Zone. If you're a fan of this podcast, you can watch this show live on youtube.com/Nintendo Power Zone. But if you don't have time, you want to listen to us on the road, you can check us out on iTunes, Google Play Music, and stream new episodes on Stitcher Radio. Guys, social media links.
Alright, before I want to do that, though, I want to give a shout-out to SSB Candidates. Thanks for watching us. It was great to chat with you. You can hit me up on Twitter at Jaden Winsong, or occasionally I will stream at also Jaden Winsong on Twitch. So you can find me there. My Twitter is at VKingBlues. My YouTube is at VKingBlues, and the Twitch is twitch.tv/VKingBlues. And streaming is still on hiatus, but in terms of until then, I'm gonna be doing a Golden Sun Let's Play here on YouTube. Probably either my YouTube or this one here. I don't know for sure yet. I'll figure that out. But I plan to do a lot of stream testing with Golden Sun. Is the big issue why I want to do it, just to see what works, what doesn't in a controlled environment rather than the live stream. But also, Golden Sun something that's been on my mind a lot. Something I think that might be coming to the forefront soon and I want to talk about maybe Isaac and Smash or certain other topics that I think would be fun to talk about as well. So definitely look forward to that, because I'm looking forward to having those discussions. As of right now, it's definitely going to be post content, like after recorded. I might transition it to live, and maybe if you guys want, we can discuss some of the topics live as well for Golden Sun.
Alright, but that should be it. We're looking forward to all of that. Guys, remember you can watch the newest episode of Pixelated Places on youtube.com. I highly recommend it. Go see what Joystick's Arcade Lounge looks like. But that's going to be it from us. We'll be back in 2 weeks, guys. 2 weeks, bi-weekly now. So look forward to that. And, guys, as always, stay fresh.